Hey everybody, RetroPie guy here. Today I want to introduce you guys to the latest and greatest addition to my gaming setup here, and that's this Logitech G Extreme joystick. This particular joystick is absolutely phenomenal. I'm not even going to bother doing like a full demo and review sort of video here, but I am going to jump into this and show you guys around how this performs in some games. But all I'm going to say is this is absolutely phenomenal in every way possible. So the reason that I picked this up and started messing around with how I could get this to work on Batocera is I started setting up my Sega Model 3 game collection. For those of you that aren't familiar with this game collection, it basically has all of your mid to late 90s Sega arcade games in it. Super challenging to actually get this working for emulation in most cases, but among all the game options in this collection, my personal favorite is my all-time favorite arcade game, and that is the Star Wars Trilogy arcade game. So if we go back to that original cabinet, your controls were very basic, very similar to what we have here. In fact, this is actually overkill because if you take a look here, I have a bunch of different buttons here. I also have buttons down here at the base. The original arcade cabinet setup was just a single joystick with one button on top. Joystick obviously enabled you to aim all over the screen, and then the button on top was to shoot. So very simple. So I got this collection up and running, got this game up and running, and I started playing with just your typical dual analog stick controller, like a PlayStation style controller or an Xbox. And I found that with a game like this, where all you have is just one joystick and one button on the original version, if a full, dual analog stick controller is overkill, because on a controller like that, you have typically 4 buttons, dual analog sticks, D-pad, left and right shoulder and trigger buttons. So you have all of these options that you're not going to use. And then your analog stick is very small, so you don't have that same sort of feel to it or control that you would have on something like this. So I was playing it and it was enjoyable, but it wasn't hitting the same way as the original arcade would. So when I started thinking about it, I was thinking, okay, well maybe I can get something like this, but how would I ever map that with something like Batocera or any emulation platform? There's all these options for mapping when you dive into emulation. And for something like this, I only want the joystick to work and one button on here. In fact, here I have a trigger. So as opposed to that button I would have on top, I prefer to just pull a trigger. I think that's even better than the original arcade's controls. So I got this, started messing around with it, started playing around with the mapping process here, figured out exactly how to get it up and running. So I actually have a tutorial video that'll walk through that entire process. I'll put a link in the description of this video to link you guys over to that in case you do decide to pick up something like this. And you don't even have to pick up the exact one that I have here. This is actually really inexpensive, about 30 bucks or so, made super well, but you can get any other one out there and you're gonna have enough controls on it to map it pretty much the same exact way that I mapped this one here. But my point here is I'm able to now use this with that Star Wars Trilogy arcade game and have a 100% authentic experience, because it maps and it picks up the movement and the action of this the exact same way as the original arcade would. So I'm going to jump in here today. I'm going to show you guys around that specific game, but I'm also going to jump out and I'm going to show you guys how you can use this with a bunch of different other games out there from a bunch of different collections. So we can even use this with games that we would have just used a standard controller for. So if we think to the Star Wars pod racing game, for example, this works extremely well in that game, which was on Dreamcast, N64, maybe even PlayStation. I'm not positive on that, but point being, you can use this on regular game collections from old school consoles as well. So we're going to jump into this. I'm going to start off with that Star Wars game. I'll jump through and do different scenes from that game and different levels to show you guys the full capabilities of this bad boy right here. Then we'll jump into those other games for different home console collections. Let's get started.
It's a new left runner.
Alright, so you can see here, this joystick is really awesome. I couldn't be happier with the performance that I get out of this particular joystick from Logitech. So I will put a link in the description of this video if you're interested in picking up one of these amazing joysticks here to jump into some of these great games that you could put a twist on or get the original arcade experience out of. So that's going to do it for today. If you guys enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, smash the like button for me. Be sure to subscribe to the RetroPie Guy YouTube channel to be in the loop for all future videos, because I do a ton of stuff based around retro gaming on here. Product reviews, gameplay demos, tutorials, forgotten favorites, and a bunch of new stuff coming very soon as well. So stay in the loop, smash that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much for watching.